Alright, so I gotta get these pliers in there. And the stupid bracket in the way, of course. And it's in the way that way too. So, looks like what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to get after this bracket because it's a lot easier to get to. See this right there. And then we'll grab hold of this hose gently so we don't cut it. Make sure it's, we'll twist it so that it's loose from the bar. Oh, that indeed has antifreeze in it. So I'm not sure what this filter is. Maybe it's an antifreeze filter. Who knows? I'm an idiot. But I do things that I'm not an expert at. And eventually I do enough of them, I become an expert. And you can too. Alright, time for me to go loosen up that other bolt on the other side that we left alone for later. Alright, this bracket here was in the way. Alright, so this radiator is kind of sitting down in these holes here. I need to be able to lift that up. But before I do that, I'm going to cut a couple more bread ties here because the radiator's here and this front bracket, well, I guess it's actually all still tied together at the moment. But it didn't need to be. I need to be able to move this front bracket out of the way, this front platform right here, this thing out so that I can get this radiator out. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut these bread ties right here so that I can get that loose. And then there's two bolts, it's one here, one here, that look like they're still connecting the radiator to this front platform, so I'll take those loose also. Alright, so we cut these bread ties. There's a couple of them on here. We got plenty of slack there. These are also 10 millimeter. I guess the nice part about working on a tractor is not too terribly old is all the bolts aren't all rusted in. And loosen them up a little bit, take them out with your fingers. I love it when that happens. Alright, yeah, you can see the radiator's really coming loose from the rest of this platform already. Alright, see, they're loose now. Again, I just need to get this guy far enough out where I can get the shroud off the radiator, or I can look at it, see if there's a leak somewhere. I'm pretty close. There's still something hanging up here. Alright, I think it's just the radiators in those holders at the bottom. Yep. Alright, so I lifted it up out of those holes. Looks like I can slide this out maybe. Oh, I got another cable tie I got to cut. Should be able to see it right there. Gotta get that guy gone. There we go. Alright, with this loose, I got enough clearance to slide this whole radiator out. And hopefully it's a matter of just working the shroud off. Yep. And now I can examine this a little more closely. I sure don't see anything obvious, although I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to look like that. Alright, so this radiator slid out, and look at the bottom. On this side over here, you'll see there's a little rubber piece that fits over this protrusion here, and that fits down inside this bracket. So this little rubber piece sits inside there. That's what I was having to lift up, lift the radiator up and pull it out to get clearance from, is this little tab protrusion here, sticks up into there, and that kind of holds the radiator in place and gives it some cushioning. But if we look on the other side, you'll see we have the same little rubber piece over here, but the protrusion off the bottom of the radiator, let's see if I can do this one-handed, is there instead of on the bottom of the radiator. And I think we're going to find if we put some water in that, that's just going to leak out through there. So I'm not sure that's the greatest design in the world, is to have part of your mounting bracket go to the cavity of your radiator, but that's what it looks like they've done. So let's go put some water in this, see if it leaks like a sieve out that hole that is right over there, because that's where this piece went to. Whoops, not that hole, that hole right there. All right, you can see where this came out of here. That's the way it was attached, and it's broken off now. All right, so we got some water. I assure you this is water, not tequila or a margarita mix. And we'll pour some of this into the radiator. Oh, look at that. Coming right out there, clear as day. That is our problem. And now the question is, will some epoxy fix that? I'm not sure, but I think it's worth a try. Alright folks, I've come across a little bit of a problem while looking at this. If you'll notice, I don't know if it'll show up in the camera very well, but if you notice, I have extra material sticking out from this edge here. From here all the way around, I have material sticking out, and from here over here, from here to here, I don't have material sticking out because the brake is sticking in that way. And indeed, if you look at this piece here, you'll see I have material that is sticking out on part of this. I'm trying to shoot down the side here so that you can see it sticks out, and then there's other parts where it doesn't stick out because you can see this edge here where the material broke off, and that lines up like this. But I've tried for several minutes to work this back in, wedge it into where the part that should be inside there and this meets up, and it just doesn't want to go back together very well. So what I'm going to have to do in order to make sure I think I got lots of good contact area with the epoxy is I'm just going to take off the part that is protruding from this piece, and then there'll be enough epoxy up inside there that protrudes out to hold it, but that way I've got good contact area here. As a matter of fact, I may just take this whole area here out and allow the epoxy to form kind of a mushroom head inside there and keep this from popping out. As a matter of fact, I think that's probably what I'll do. At any rate, if I just tried to put this back in here like that, it's not going to make good contact, and I think that's going to fail for sure. So just kind of be aware that you may have to take off a little bit of material or whatever to make sure you get a good epoxy bond on here. Alright, so I hit this with the Dremel tool, and you can see now it will sit inside there a little bit. I can put it inside a little bit, twist it to where it makes kind of good contact, and that should be enough to hold it in place while the epoxy sets. So time to go get a little bit of epoxy and see if we can't fix this. Alright, so my camera says I got 12 minutes left on my battery, and I have some of this DevCon 5-minute epoxy. So that means I should be in good shape, right? Assuming that I've used this before. So assuming that it hasn't all hardened up inside there, I should be good to go. And I do have some stuff coming out, but I'm thinking it's probably not premium shape anymore. At any rate, hopefully that should be enough. If not, I guess I get to make this video again. So I got a popsicle stick. You can't ever have too many popsicle sticks around the workshop. So we'll mix this up good. Of course, this is 5-minute epoxy, so we don't want to mix it for 5 minutes. We'd be in trouble. So I'm going to spread some of this on here, and then I'm going to put a little bit around the hole over here too, and we're going to see if we can't fix this. And I'm going to apply this liberally to the outside and around this hole here. I want to kind of make sure I have a little bit of an excess on the inside, because when I push this in here, it's going to strip off anything that exceeds the diameter of the hole I'm putting it into. So I'll make sure there's some stuff up in there. Alright, I'll try to get it to where it goes in just a little bit. So I'm going to wipe the excess epoxy off my fingers, and we'll let that dry, and then we'll tug on a little bit with our fingers. As long as it looks like it's fairly sturdy, we'll put it back in the tractor and take her for a test spin or two and make sure it doesn't leak any more coolant. Alright, I just came over here to check this one, see how it was drying. Still a little tacky, so I'm just going to let it sit overnight, be sure. But while I was doing that, I went over and looked at this one. I was like, well, why in the heck is that cantered? And I looked, and you can see right there that that's starting to break out. So remember when I said that maybe it was leaking from both sides because the leak was coming down and running back and forth and just dripping out whatever hole it found? Well, I don't think that's the case. I think this one here is cracked and is leaking too. So I'm going to take a hammer, I'm going to try to canter that back straight again, and then we'll put some epoxy around it, and I'll hit this with a little bit of sandpaper to clean it up. But it looks like I need to repair that one too, because otherwise I'm going to put it back in there and have to take this back out again. Alright, I'm going to try to straighten this out a little bit. Hopefully we don't break it off. Wish me luck. Alright, I'm not so sure I'm making any progress there, but I don't want to hit it any harder. I'm just going to go ahead and put the epoxy on there. Alright, it's 15 April, and we've let these things... Alright, it is 15 April. We've let these epoxy patches set up overnight, so it's time to put this thing back together. Alright, so we have the fan shroud here, and initially I was thinking it might be easiest to just put this back in here and then slide it over the fan and then put the radiator in, but that's not really going to work out too well. You notice we got these wings on this thing, and like something's catching on it already. Alright, the other issue is that we got these cutouts here. They're meant to fit down over this, and it just kind of clips in, so I don't think we're going to have real good luck with putting that shroud on first and then setting the radiator in there. I think we need to take it, put it back same way it came out, which is put this shroud on first, get everything nice and tight, and then squeeze it back in there.